Officer John O Keefe, who was off duty, was found dead on Fairview Road yesterday morning in front of a friend's house. State police were at the scene last night investigating this. O'Keefe was a 16-year veteran of the Boston Police Department.
In the early morning hours on January 29th, 2022, in the middle of blizzard-like conditions, Boston police officer John O Keefe was found gravely injured and unresponsive on the front lawn of a home belonging to another Boston police officer named Brian Albert. Prosecutors say Officer O'Keefe's girlfriend, Karen Reed, struck him with her Lexus SUV while driving under the influence and left him to die in the inclement weather. Karen Reed and her powerhouse defense team claim she is a victim of a vast conspiracy, a cover-up to protect dirty cops. The real individuals responsible for the death of Officer John O Keefe was none other than his brothers in blue. We are in the middle of the third week of trial as Karen Reed fights for her freedom. Shocking revelations have been made as far as what could at best be described as an incompetent investigation and at worst, maybe intentionally reckless. The biggest tragedy in this entire case is that the opportunity to seek justice for Officer John O Keefe seems to be slipping away. We have a lot to talk about. Let's get into today's video. Hey everyone, what's up? It's Sarah and welcome back to Sarah Spills. The trial of Karen Reed is well into its third week, and if you are following the trial, you are probably equally parts confused as to how Karen Reed came to be charged with second-degree murder and horrified at the absolute abomination of an investigation that was performed into the mysterious circumstances surrounding the death of Officer John O Keefe. I mean, we definitely know it's a homicide, but how did a badly beaten and possibly mauled Boston police officer end up left for dead on the front lawn of yet another Boston police officer? How does a man who grew up in the suburbs of Boston, trained as a first responder, end up dying partially of hypothermia? This case is truly baffling. As you guys probably know, I am a law nerd. I keep up with trial coverage with Emily D. Baker. And what I love about Emily's commentary is that she is a former Los Angeles district attorney. So not only is she a lawyer, but she is a former prosecutor. Her channel really skyrocketed during the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. And during that trial, we saw this genre on YouTube come to be, coined LawTube. I enjoy LawTube so much because in the United States, we enjoy the privilege of having the judicial process be something the public can have access to. But obviously, most of us can't travel from jurisdiction to jurisdiction to keep up with the cases that are dominating the headlines. Therefore, having trials be live streamed lends a layer of transparency to the judicial process. With that being said, live streaming trials isn't without risk. We have seen the internet interfere with public trials in the past, and the prosecutors in the Karen Reed trial are accusing the defense of trying to whip the public up into a frenzy, even going so far as charging a content creator by the name of Turtle Boy of witness intimidation. Aiden Kearney, who goes by the moniker Turtle Boy on YouTube, is a native of Massachusetts, and he really is one of the earliest supporters of the Free Karen Reed movement. And he has really helped with getting this case into the mainstream news. He is a controversial figure and invites his fair share of criticism, but it's really hard to deny that a lot of us probably wouldn't have known about this case if it wasn't for Turtle Boy's coverage. Aiden Kearney has actually been attending the trial of Karen Reed, and during certain witnesses, he has to now leave the courtroom because of that witness intimidation charge that he is facing. It's probably fairly obvious, but I am not a legal expert. I did have delusions of grandeur of possibly going to law school, and I majored in political science in college. But I was a C student and definitely did not have the academic dedication necessary to withstand law school. So I really appreciate this LawTube niche on YouTube, which takes us through these legal cases And they break it down for us like we are Michael Scott.
Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
I love a good conspiracy as much as the next guy, but I usually regard them as fanciful and fodder for fun speculation, nothing to be taken seriously. So when I heard about this case of Karen Read, these accusations of a cover-up, a conspiracy that seemingly goes all the way to the top. Seriously, to the top, you guys. Even the judge in this case is being accused of impropriety. I was so relieved to find out Emily D. Baker was going to be doing gavel-to-gavel coverage, and other law tubers like Lawyer You Know, Runkle of the Bailey, Legal Bites, Natalie Lawyer Chick, they're all lending their expert legal analysis to this case, which is so helpful. I have been watching this trial every day. We are almost done with the 3rd week of a projected 8-week trial, and we have yet to get to the defense's theory of what exactly they think happened to warrant a second-degree murder charge for Karen Read. One user on Reddit commented, "I'm really having a hard time understanding the prosecution's strategy. It seems all they've done is bring up people that were out that night, ask them some general questions about this and that, and then just tee them up for the defense to nitpick the hell out of everything they've said over the past 2 years. It just doesn't seem relevant for the prosecution to spend time on this, and it gives the defense a whole lot of fodder to tear apart." To which another Redditor responded, "Agree. This far into the trial, they should have been further into the evidence of how John O'Keefe died and how Karen Read is most likely to be responsible. Instead, we have a bunch of drunk witnesses who were interviewed in a group setting and did not make great trial witnesses." If you happened upon this video by happenstance and you want to know more about the details of this case, I will link resources in the description of this video so you can get caught up. Again, I'm no legal expert, but I have never seen anything like this case. A case being brought to trial with such a horrifically bad investigation that was performed. Prosecution witnesses that seem to be more beneficial to the defense's case. Karen Read supposedly drops Officer O'Keefe off at Brian Albert's house, strikes him with her car, and leaves him to die sometime between midnight and 1 a.m. Coincidentally, people see her drop him off, yet no one sees her hit him. People are leaving the Albert home after this alleged incident occurs, yet no one sees Officer O'Keefe laying dying in the snow. Make it make sense. Emily D. Baker summed up the frustration a lot of people are feeling yesterday after trial.
"I don't know how you feel about this case on a whole or where you individually stand. There is one thing I'm pretty clear on, is that I have not seen any of you say that you thought this was a good investigation. There are times where I think the defense is overreaching, but there's a lot of times where I think the prosecution is underperforming. This investigation seems like a complete shit show. And I don't know if we're ever going to get past that. And the defendant deserves better. The victim deserves better. You've charged someone with murder. On what? Solo cups?"
Emily is so right. This defendant deserves better. This victim deserves better. You charge someone with second-degree murder, you better be able to prove your case beyond a reasonable doubt. So often I've watched Datelines or true crime documentaries or trial coverage on LawTube, and it's widely discussed that typically a DA's office isn't going to bring a case to trial that they aren't reasonably certain they are going to win. That is why prosecutors have like a 90% conviction rate. They aren't going to waste the time and resources bringing a case to trial if it's iffy. So it begs the question, how did this case make it to trial? How did this get past a grand jury? If this is a cover-up, how far-reaching does the corruption go? Hanlon's razor says do not attribute to malice, which can adequately be explained by stupidity. For me, this investigation has been so inadequate, it's hard to not see this as malicious. Which brings me to the point that this victim, a police officer who dedicated his life to public service, deserves so much better. He deserves justice. He deserves for his family to know beyond a reasonable doubt what happened to him in those early morning hours of January 29th, 2022. With that being said, if this is the kind of investigation that is typical in the Canton Police Department or the Massachusetts State Police, well, frankly, anybody who is currently serving a prison term, and if there is overlap between investigating officers in this case and their case, well, they should have their cases reevaluated. I'm sure this is not going to be the only video I make on this case, but I just had to discuss some of my initial thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Threads, and X at Reality Squad, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care. Have a good one. Much love.